It's funny, there's been like a progression of pain. I started having weird symptoms in my 20s, but I just thought it was part of my biology. I didn't know that there was anything wrong. I was like, oh, well, this aches or this hurts, and I just didn't think anything about it. But I probably started having joint pain like kind of in my mid-20s. And then when I was 30, I got pregnant, almost 30, I got pregnant. And after my pregnancy, I had the most severe, like, just flu-like symptoms. I was sick all the time. My pregnancy was like excruciatingly painful. And I just thought, oh, well, this must be pregnancy. Like, I don't know why all these other people have an easier time, but I'm having a hard time. So it was nearly 3 years after my first pregnancy that I recovered, before I recovered my health. And I went to like a physical therapist who did a lot of like massage and body work, and eventually my pain went away. So I think what happened was I wasn't diagnosed back then with Lyme. Nobody could tell me anything about what was wrong. All the doctors I went to were like, oh, it's just stress. Oh, you're just tired. Oh, you're just sleep deprived. So anyway, I had a couple years after that. I guess my son would have been right around when he turned like 3.5. My symptoms started to abate. And then when my son was like 5, or 4.5, 5, I ended up getting pregnant again with my second child, and all these symptoms returned. Again with the leg pain, again with the back pain, again with the neck pain, again with the migraines, the face pain. I was like, this is weird. Why is pregnancy so terrible for me? So I had my daughter, and I had that first year I decided to nurse my second child, and I had a horrible time of it. I just had I felt like I had lumps in my breast, I had lumps in my legs, and I was like, this is so weird. Like, I eat organic, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't take pharmaceutical drugs. I don't understand why my health is so poor. What's happening? So anyways, in August of 2013, I was feeling okay that day, and I went for a walk with my children and with my husband. And when I came back, I had been bitten on my arm by mosquitoes. And then the next morning, I woke up, and I had these hives, like what I thought was hives and rash all down my legs. And I think what happened was, my Lyme had sort of gone dormant, and then it got reactivated by a bug bite. And so for months, I went on, and I didn't, again, still not knowing anything, didn't have a clue what was wrong. Finally, in December, a friend of mine told me, hey, you should get tested for Lyme disease. There's only 2 labs in the United States that test for it. One is IGeneX, which is in California, and the other lab is MDL, Medical Diagnostic Labs, in New Jersey. So anyways, I called up the lab, and they sent me a test kit, and I took it to my primary care doctor, and he gave me kind of a sort of an odd look, like, why are we doing this? And I said, look, all my symptoms point to this. Can you please test me? He agreed, so he was amenable to it. And then sure enough, 3.5 weeks, the results came back, and I had Lyme disease, and I had like 7 of the 10 bands. And the doctor said, this looks like chronic Lyme disease. We think you've had this probably more than 10 years. And I thought, oh my God, no wonder I was so sick during my pregnancies. No wonder the recovery was so hard. So empowered with that information, I went on an all-out campaign to find every natural cure I could under the sun. So I looked up the Cowden protocol, Cowden, which he uses cemento and banderol, which are herbals. I decided I wasn't too sure about the herbals, so I didn't want to go down that route. And then I found a gentleman who had he said he had cured himself of Lyme disease using essential oils. And I've always used essential oils, so I thought I'll do this. So I went online and I got myself some cinnamon oil. And for 6 months in 2014, from January to June, I used highly diluted Ceylon cinnamon oil, and my rash cleared up. I couldn't believe it. I was like, some of my energy started to come back a little bit, and then I switched to mandarin oil from July to December of 2014 because I had read that the Lyme disease is adaptogenic, so whenever you do something, it figures out how to work its way around it. So I did that for another 6 months, and at the same time, I treated my children because I was afraid that I'd passed it to them. You can pass Lyme disease through the placenta, through the blood. So I treated them for about 3 months using the mandarin oil. It was very mild. It tastes like orange. They loved it. They thought it was like a treat they were getting. So my son did have symptoms when he was younger. He would wake up in the middle of the night screaming with foot and leg pain, and we took him to podiatrists. We took him to It's growing pains, right? But that stopped after I gave him the essential oil treatment. That went away. And then my daughter hasn't really exhibited very many symptoms. She has some neurological symptoms, she does some funny things sometimes, she'll walk on her tiptoes, which is a neurological symptom, or she'll try to get herself to sit upside down, she always wants to be in an upside down state. So it's like they're trying to relieve some sort of a head pressure. So, but again, I treated her with the essential oil also, and that seemed to have abate some of her symptoms. So I haven't had them officially tested tested yet, but I feel like I need to like get my own health in order first and be stronger, because it's a long road to recovery when you have Lyme disease. So let me get myself in order first, and then I recognize that I might have to do more for my kids. But so that was one exceptionally sad aspect of learning that I had Lyme disease, is that I may have passed it on to my children. I had found Dr. Childers, I guess, in November, December of 2014. I thought, there's something about this ozone. Somebody mentioned ozone therapy to me. I didn't know anything about it. I did a bunch of research for a few months, and it took me like 3 or 4 months before I finally worked up enough, courage to come see him. And I'm glad that I did, because no doctor has ever, I've never been under an MD's care for Lyme disease, because I didn't want to do antibiotics. My primary care doctor didn't know anything about it, and I was already treating myself and having some results. Not great, but some results. So anyways, I came to Dr. Childers, and he mentioned this Lyme protocol, and I was the first one to sign up for it. So I'm the furthest along of all his patients. I'm probably like, I think the treatment is like 36 days, and I'm on day like 30, maybe 29 or 30. And so I've sort of, the guinea pig. Basically, Dr. Childers took a bunch of protocols that are used as individual treatments. Like some clinics use just ozone, and some clinics use just the UVBI, and some clinics use just the silver hydrosol. And he combined all of them, because he said, he told me, he sat me down, he said, Areti, I put together a very aggressive treatment. I want you to understand what you're getting into. I said, that's fine, sign me up. So I had to get special permission from my employer to work remotely, so I could come up here Monday through Thursday, because I don't live in this area. And we started. Now, I had a bunch of ups and downs. There were some days where I felt like really great, and then other times where I got really sick. Almost immediately when I started the protocol, I got super duper sick for like 3 weeks. And as you know, some people have mentioned the Herx reaction. I definitely was herxing, and my body was trying to detox. There was a lot of die-off very early on, and I was sick the whole time. And then I sort of started to come out. I turned a corner, and I got a little better, and then I kind of went down again, and then I turned a corner again. So there's been a lot of ups and downs, and that's been frustrating. But I know it's working, because I wouldn't have had those ups and downs if it wasn't doing something. And so now I'm almost on the tail end of my program, and what I'm left with is I still have this fatigue. I still have the brain fog. I can't think straight all the time. I can't remember things. And I still have my leg pain that comes and goes. And so I told Dr. Childers that, I'm a little bit discouraged, because we've been doing this very expensive treatment. It's been a big commitment to be away from my family. And he said, you know what? Well, this treatment's going to eradicate the organisms. We're going to kill off the pathogens, but there may be stuff left over. And so what's left over for me now is the damage from Lyme. So I'm hopeful. This treatment did bring me hope, because I'm hopeful that I'm going to really fully eradicate this disease. But I know that the second part of my journey is going to be addressing the damage from Lyme. Like, what do I need to do to overcome my leg pain, and what do I need to do to restore my brain chemistry, because I'm not functioning correctly? And so I talked a little bit to Dr. Childers about doing amino acid therapy, and I'm going to, so there's some other things that we can do aside from just the ozone treatment. I think there's a lot of Lyme literate doctors who understand the disease, and they've used antibiotics, which are conventional treatments, to treat it. And in some cases, if you get bitten by a tick and you see it and you get treated immediately, 30 days of doxycycline will cure you, right? But if you're like a lot of people here who don't even know they got bitten, they could have gotten it from a mosquito bite. It doesn't necessarily have to be a tick bite. Everybody thinks, oh, you got bitten by a tick, but no, actually you can get bitten by a mosquito, and you can get it that way too. So there's a lot of doctors who have they're Lyme literate, but they've used these conventional methods as antibiotics, and they're finding that their patients aren't getting to cure. Like, they have to keep them on antibiotics to sort of suppress the immune system and suppress the disease, and they have outbreaks continually. And then when you're on antibiotics for any length of time, you kill off all the good bacteria your body's supposed to have, and then you have GI issues. And so I think there's a lot of Lyme doctors who've tried over the years many different things and are coming to the realization that sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. There are a couple other clinics in the United States that offer ozone. Dr. Schallenberger, who actually trained Dr. Childers, I think, in ozone therapy, he offers it in Nevada. But there's only 2 clinics, and they're in Nevada. And who can get out to Nevada, right? We're on the East Coast. Exactly. But there's clinics in Mexico. There's some of the patients that are here were wanting to go to the clinics in Mexico because they found out about ozone treatment. They were just ready to get on there and cross the border and go into Tijuana and just, get their Lyme treatment, right? Because they're desperate. Lyme patients are desperate patients. But now, Dr. Childers always references, like, there's a lot of studies in Germany, and I want to say maybe France, but there's other places, Russia, like, where they don't have the pharmaceutical companies don't have such a strong foothold in those countries, and so people have to find alternative treatments. And those are the alternative. They're cheap, they're fast, they're easy. And so I feel like here we have like a very strong political climate, and we have pharmaceutical companies make up like 30% of the lobbyists, and so they drive a lot of what happens in terms of like decisions our government makes, and decisions that, the things that doctors learn about. Like, if there was some company that was like promoting ozone treatment and silver hydrosol and taking it to the MDs and saying, here, let me sell you this instead of these pharmaceutical drugs, then maybe the doctors would use that, or they'd know that about that as an alternative treatment, right? And I mean, I'm sure that's a very controversial thing I'm saying, but it's true. It's true.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and you.
I mean, I don't think anybody would argue with the fact that like the pharmaceutical companies have a strong lobby on the Hill and can determine a lot of what the FDA deems safe or not safe. Listen, we're a capitalist nation, right? If the pharmaceutical companies were smart, they'd get on the bandwagon. They would start manufacturing the machines that make ozone. They would sell those things to doctors. There's other ways, like if there's a question of profit, like desperate Lyme patients will pay the money, right? And so there's money to be had in that for the pharmaceuticals if that's what they want or if that's what they need to do. And then there's the insurance companies too, right? Like, we pay thousands of dollars to insurance companies. We have the right diagnostic codes that they should be covering, but they don't cover that treatment because it's not accepted conventionally. It's an alternative therapy. But, now insurance companies are starting to cover some alternative treatments. Like, you can save your receipts from acupuncture, and if it has the right diagnostic codes, they'll cover like 80% of it or 60% of it. So I think the insurance companies are starting to realize like there's something there, like there's something we should be doing. But I mean, God, there's so many people who could be brought to cure, who could be treated naturally with this. And I mean, I think between ozone therapy and silver hydrosol and UVBI to eradicate organisms, and then for follow-up damage treatment, you use amino acids and you use some essential oils or some sort of natural remedy for pain management and for clearing brain fog. I mean, it's simple. It's not hard. I mean, it's a long journey. It's like 3 to 6 months to get to that place, but it's not rocket science. It's not hard. Like, people can be cured. People can live healthy lives. We don't have to be taxing our society with this illness if we don't need to. Like, if you have 30 people who have Lyme disease and they're unable to be productive in society because they have the disease, imagine what they could go out and do in life if they didn't have the disease and they were free to go, like, open small businesses, offer employment to people. But I just know that when I get to my healthy state, everything that I experienced in my journey, I'm going to apply it for my children, and I'm going to let them go off and do great things in life because they're not going to have to deal with ill health, right? And other people who I come across, I tell everybody about ozone therapy. I tell everybody about amino acid therapy. I tell everybody about how to relieve their pain naturally. Everything and anything I've ever learned and known, I want to share it. Like, I want to network it out to people and say, take ownership and control of your health because no one else will. But I feel like here, like at this clinic, Dr. Childers, like, he still very much understands that Lyme patients are going to like have their opinion. They're going to do other things and this, that, and the other. But he wants to like participate with you in like your healing. He wants you to get better. He's frustrated if you come to him and you say, I feel pain still. And he like sit there and contemplate, like, okay, what are we going to do about this? Like, this is making me mad. Like, it's not working. And I haven't seen anything like that from other doctors. And I think maybe if the system was a little different, maybe they would care. Maybe a doctor could take an hour with their patients instead of 15 minutes. It's everything about our system that's not conducive to bringing people to a full cure and to a full healing. Right. All that being said, okay, I'm standing off of my soapbox now. If you have Lyme disease and you need an alternative therapy, you just accept that you're going to pay for it out of your pocket. You accept that you need to be really, really careful. You don't want to say or do anything that's going to put the doctor's position in jeopardy. Like, you don't want FDA coming here trying to shut the doctor down, right? Mm-hmm. You accept that, like, you have to be open to the fact that some people may not want this alternative therapy. They may not want this treatment. It may be dangerous for them, like the pharmaceutical companies. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's been an interesting journey. So I don't know if I answered your very original question about how do you feel about it. Like, this is how I think that's how I feel about it. I feel like there are some powers that be that would try to block this. And so I hope that you bringing this to light is a positive step forward. Yeah.